Team HRT, that's the Haupt racing team that starts from pole position. We're about to get rolling with the opening group of 47 cars, an effort in itself to get the cars safely through Tiergarten two abreast. They'll burst their way onto the Grand Prix track in a moment or two. The pace car will peel off to the right-hand side, and Maro Engel gets the signal to put the pedal to the metal. We're underway for 2020, and now Maro Engel will have, relatively speaking, clear road in front of him. How long can the Goodyear shod Ferrari stay behind? I was about to say, well, it's actually in front. The Ferrari, the Octane 126 entry, gets the race lead. Far better off the marks than Maro Engel. Now the next question is, can everybody stop safely and work their way through the Yokohama S? Give and take required. We don't want any contact through this first sequence of corners. They'll head to the Michael Schumacher S next, and down the hill, a real plummet downhill to the Dunlop hairpin. Still the Ferrari of Jonathan Hershey, the gold-graded 34-year-old from Switzerland, leads Maro Engel from pole. He's down to second place, Nick Damon.
And that was a fantastically adult start by everybody involved there. There could have been no end of chances of coming together. They all managed to retain a respectable distance, social distancing in a motor race. There were four wide at some points at the bottom of the first hairpin, but they are being very, very sensible. As the key surprise about that, Johnny, is the absolute lethal leap off that sort of rolling start made by the Ferrari. It just got past Engel, and Engel's now dropped down to third. It's the 9 car now in second. The yellow, well, I say that they're actually side by side as they come into the, I think this is the loop before they get on. Oh, it's just been squeezed there as they turn up the right towards the hairpin on the Grand Prix circuit. So the chicane on the hairpins on the Grand Prix circuit.
Number 9, sorry, Get Speed entry, I beg your pardon, leads the number 6 car from the Hubert Racing team, and much yellow to the race lead. Double left-hander onto the hats and back, and the bright yellow car has wasted no time at all ahead of both of the Rover Racing BMWs. Just trying to work out which of the many Benzes towards the sharp end is in 5th. It's the 22 car, as now Maro Engel finds somehow a way around the outside of the Ferrari to bag himself second position.
Hershey really was a rolling roadblock, because in fact is the starting group 2 who are about to take the green flag.
Yeah, and I was slightly concerned that there may have been an opening lap stint. This was hours ago, and the fact we would be unleashing 40-odd cars straight into the accident scene. You're right, briefly there was a code 120 at the Yokohama S. Whoever was involved there has been cleared up, and the 2 KTMs from Teichmann Racing get going now, but it's a good move as well from car 830 up the inside, which is the entry from Hyundai Motorsport N. Their i30N very nearly bagged himself second position, but he's actually muscled out of it by a Porsche Cayman. And the rest of the BMW 240i Racing Cup class work their way through. Sadly, we don't have the 20-plus cars within that division, but there are enough, certainly, to entertain us over the 24 hours. And everybody else, again, filtering their way out of the Haug Hook and towards the Michael Schumacher S for the first time. That then gives him the inside line for the left-hand flick at Hoek Eichen, and he motored his way down towards Flugplatz, having bagged second place. And meanwhile, Maxime Martin, the number 31 Fricadelli Racing team, is now in the blockage behind the Ferrari. Is he going to go for it here? There's a right-hander coming up. This might be the run to the carousel, actually, and almost got by. Hopefully there wasn't any contact, but you do not want this in the opening phase of the race, where for whatever reason one of the front runners, a Ferrari that started on the front row, cannot get up to speed compared to everybody else.
So there's no driver listed against who it is. They haven't managed to click the driver display, but it is driven by someone. It's not a mystery or a radio control car.
Some contact a moment ago for one of the KTM crossbows. That's the 110 Teichmann Racing machine, and that was Tom Coronel in the 36 car. Sharp intake of breath.
It's Niederhauser in the 7.
Patrick Niederhauser in the 7 car, right. So he's the gold-graded driver, by the way. We've got one of the GT-tired Audis off the road. That's a GT4 car.
53, Johnny.
All right. Not in SP10, which you would expect as the GT4 category. It's in SP8 as a non-turbocharged GT4 car, but they've obviously done one or two bits of moving around with it.
Work suited
Well,
up.
yeah, I mean, it could be different ECU.
Hasn't been able to drive past it, so obviously there's a bit of, oh, we've got looks like an instant of 39 car, Johnny, one of the BMW M4s. Now, I'm not sure, I think he got away with not hitting anything. He went wide into a gravel trap in the middle of the forest, and then I think, yep, he seems to be damage free. Who is the 39?
It's actually an M2.
Perhaps he lost a tiny bit of momentum doing that, and that was all it was needed. Those extra 2 or 3 miles an hour, which you can then add on and add on and add on and move forward, and suddenly you're going to be getting past. And going past also is Frederik Vervisch, just on the crossover between the Grand Prix circuit and the Nordschleife. Yes.
Oh, just about, yes. And now, with traffic up ahead, definitely raining at Flansgarten, a big wiggle from the Italian.
Yeah, that has a little precipitation there, and you can actually see it on some of the trackside cameras. The rain is flying into the lenses again. Land Audi, so probably one of the star of the Audi stable, it has to be René Rast. Obviously DTM multiple champion, and even a bit of fun he's been having with the Formula E. As a very late pit call from the 8 car of Mathieu Vassier, who's having quite a little bit of work done.
And let's hope he's been able to be put back onto the track so he can complete that lap. And it might be straight into the pit lane for car 15, the entry from Race Ing, powered by HFG.
My imagination now, I think that's the full wet.
A little bit of carnage at Brunchen, not the first time we'll say that this weekend, and it's left a 62 Porsche trying to get some forward momentum. This is a car that runs in SP7. It's the Bill Cameron, Jim Cameron, Ralph Peter Bonk and Arno Klassen car. Was there some contact with the Mercedes number 2, which had to be, well, replaced after a big crash in one of the earlier qualifying sessions. That's a new chassis for car number 2, and it was a rotation all on its own for car number 62, and sadly backwards into the Armco barrier as well.
If you thought there was only one line around certain sections of the Nordschleife, those sections are growing and growing and growing when there is water out there. Rast should be able to have a go now out of the Hatzenbach and down to the Flugplatz. Oh, Arnold squeezes him right to the outside of the circuit there, and the next option for Rast will be to get a great exit from Flugplatz and then do the move down towards Schwedenkreuz.
And then on the brakes again for Lance David Arnold. 3 applications I made that to get the car slowed enough and lined up for Callan-Hart itself. A huge wiggle from the red and white Fricadelli car, and now the door is left nice and wide open for René Rast to sneak through at Verstappen.
Oh, but Arnold's going to have a go at him. He's going to do well to get around the outside of that chicane.
So steering wheel from lock to lock pretty much, and squabbling with René Rast, who eventually got through in the Audi.
You could drive a riverboat from Callan-Hart out to Bergwerk, couldn't you? As you see the number 25 Porsche, and Nico Menzel on board, losing it on the Grand Prix loop.
Yeah, that is the Pro-Am entry from Uber Motorsport, and the 25 car obviously battling for that sort of subcategory within SP9. The cars are identical between Pro and Pro-Am. It's all about your driver makeup.
A silver.
I like that, yeah. Sneaking through customs, knowing that you're a platinum. And the outside there. Now, was that a move for position from KCMG's? I want to say Olsen, or was it the 18 car of Earl Bamber? No, it's Bernhardt now. So Bamber's come in after one stint, handing over to teammate Bernhardt. Go at a speed, whereas if you come across an incident, you've got to be prepared to stop. 215 clicks, you can't do that. Anyway, rejoining from the grass at Adenauer Forst, I noticed. They're virtually in front of the race leader. I think that was the Toyota Supra.
It was the 37. It was the Toyota Supra, the SP10 car.
Massive.
Just look at that as René Rast heads past one of the Aston Martin SP10 cars. Like, oh, big wobble for Rast as he heads back onto the Dottinger.
One of the rear wheels, rear left, was the focus from the team, and that car having to come in from the Grand Prix track with Mathieu Vaxivière at the wheel. He used the alternative entry into the pit lane to do that. Marciello somewhere in that very long sector 5 section of the lap, which is just over 2 minutes in length. It's not the longest, takes you nearly 3 minutes in these conditions without difficulty. And another drama for an SP7 car is 61 rotating on the exit of Tiergarten. That's a narrow part of the track as it is. BMW, Farfus again, big shunt for the number 100 BMW. Similar car to Farfus, and this is at Brunchen, with one of the Van Bolens at the wheel. Two from that family group in that car. Can't tell you which it is at this point, but it looks like a rotation. The car's facing the wrong way and has gone into the barrier very heavily indeed.
I'm sure we're about to get a replay, and indeed we are.
So through the right-hander, that's really tricky in these conditions. Not sure whether that BMW caught the curb. Didn't see how it went into the barrier, but there was a car right behind it. I don't know whether they were close enough to have made contact.
It's almost one line here as we see another spinner down there. Is it 61 again? No.
It's the number 18. Number 18 Porsche, the KCMG Porsche. Maybe not so on these cars, but tell me if I'm wrong.
There's a reasonable amount of diffuser work to do, and certainly when you start banging the car over the curbs, it can be big damage. Is that Bononomi just
looks
going
like number 7.
The pit lane until a little later on. There's Donji just getting himself a bit wide.
Okay, those cars are located. They're really running nose to tail, aren't they? I mean, that's turning into a bit of a scrap there. The 30 and the 44 is the cars running in 11th and 12th.
Here is, oh goodness me, the number 166 Beamer has found the wall, and is actually the same place, I think, as its older cousin earlier on.
I think it has. The 166 car off with pretty much identical front end damage as to the 100 M6 BMW. It's got to be a bit of a BMW magnet to that section of barrier. And the 166 just coming through, just losing the back end there in a what I would call quite a sedate fashion. It was kind of just got away with him and didn't look like it snapped viciously. It was kind of more graceful than that, wasn't it? Phases, the number 1 Audi into the pits for Vish, bringing that car to a halt. Speed of recovery of the vehicle, it appeared to have been pushed behind the barrier and then abandoned. Very shortly after that, we had the trail of oil being left by the Lamborghini.
We've whizzed past the Conrad Lambo there.
I think we have. The Perea Conrad Lamborghini has dropped down to 13th. Well, it's a similar sort of concept in a race car. When you're absolutely driving on the limit of an already slippery track, just add oil to water and we've got issues. Tilly gave up at Brideshite. That's a great observation, Jim, and thanks for that. Nikolai B noticed an Expo was stopped broadside at Exmuller prior to the Conrad Lamborghini, which I think we saw that as well, Alex. The section after Exmuller towards Bergwerk has been cleared. The Lamborghini for Conrad Motorsport now on the back of a recovery vehicle and being driven back to the pits.
On the way back now. And we noticed it was taken off onto a side road.
However, because they'd only done 5 laps, you can do a quicker pit stop than those that did 8 laps, because your minimum pit stop reference time is dictated by how many laps you have just completed in the previous stint.
Second here, a 10th here, a bit there. That gap is not coming down particularly on this lap. It's 1 minute 5 onto this one, but it was at the end of that lap. But the 2 Mercedes drivers really going hammer and tongue.
Second in SP3, there's only 1 Renault Clio in the entry, and it's one of the Nets NETT drivers at the wheel of that, and I can't differentiate right now between Jürgen or Joachim.
Metzger, is that Metzger off?
That's the race leader,
it
potentially.
It is the race leader. Metzger's off the track.
The race leader has stopped, and there are boards being waved. Is it the run into Schwalbenschwanz? It's the second of the carousels. He's caught the concrete coming out of that corner. Still okay at this point, but a slippery surface flag to the left and to the right hits something on the track surface. The car turns right. There's another car involved as well.
Another Porsche.
And he's in the barrier. And Manuel Metzger, very close to the end of the lap, crashes, surely, out of this race. There's huge damage on the front of that Mercedes, the race leader, car number 4. And also involved...
That's a lot of damage. It was there. That was a cope. I think it was already. And it's fired it off right. And what's the other car? It's
a 35, I think.
35 Porsche.
And also, not necessarily in this level of light, but you do get the blue flashing light as well if you're one of the quick cars. One of such is in the gravel, though, it appears.
He's flashed all the way into the gravel. Looks like the exit of turn 1. Running in 19th position at the moment. It's just locked it and dropped it. Well, he won't have locked it, anti-lock braking systems, but effectively...
Josh Burden getting more and more used to the KCMG's new car. He's raced the Godzilla Nissan in the past. There's a spin right in front of the race leader, Maxi Gertz. And I don't think he had any contact, but blimey, that's how quickly, again, the narrative of this race could change. That's a Cup car, quite possibly.
And I don't think so. It looks plenty far enough off the rear end of that Porsche. It may well be, and it was, you know. He's giving him a whack.
Yeah, it's the 50, 63, might be 53.
Just the sort of thing that can end up in a penalty.
So we got one sheet with the 13 cars already pre-qualified, and then everybody else in SP9 and the Glickenhaus, which is in SPX, and one extra car as potentially eligible for the second section.
A set of wets in one lap at the moment. They'll be over and done with. Oof, big spin as well on the way down through the hats and back there. And have less engineering capability, have less choice with regards to the setup of their car, and potentially, not always the case, certainly, but potentially less knowledge and experience of the conditions. And yes, it can be an absolutely massive challenge if you just don't have that information to play with, as we see Sheldon Van der Linde fighting very hard with the number 5 Audi. There are those strobe lights down into turn 4 on the Grand Prix loop.
A further 1 minute and 56 behind them on the road in 60th spot is the 59th spot is the Ford Motors Bio Concept car. That's the Porsche 911 running the bioethanol.
Oh, Marcello spin in the leading car.
Oh,
that looks like it's in the Forest chicane. And let's see if he gets that one going. Sorry to interrupt your run through the field. Important to check in on all the other classes, of course.
That's pretty important, isn't it?
But Marcello's going to have to find reverse in the number 9 Mercedes here. And this is a replay, so we'll be able to check out the sectors. This happened just a few moments ago. And has he damaged it? Looks like he might have damaged it, Bradders.
I'll be amazed if he hasn't gotten any damage on that. He's pulling up, isn't he? He's on driver's left. Where did we identify that as, Alex?
It looked like the Forest chicane to me. The first left-hander of the Forest chicane.
The number 4 going off as net code because it was a very bizarre accident.
You can see
yes,
there. It's at a strange angle.
He's lost a wheel.
Yeah, could well have lost a wheel or had some sort of. It trends almost definitely with. What do you want to call it? Alertness, anxiety, pressure,
like a burst of adrenaline.
Exactly, and absolutely, it's often the case. It's often the case that I'm just watching him lose out again down into Callanhard. Looked to go long on the brakes there, didn't he? Actually, in Callanhard, and eventually the drive pegs are just not engaging. What's confusing me is as Dries van Thor's off as well in the number 1 Audi as we watch them on board. And Dries van Thor off in the rain, and it's raining hard out there, isn't it? It's raining absolutely hard. Up between the number 1 and the number 3 as we just cut back to the action. Here's the number 1, Dries van Thor, leading the race, but Haas behind him is not too far back as well.
As we continue into the night, though, Alex, I can see the weather not improving, certainly until the sun comes up. And Christopher Haas is off, spinning wildly as he went through a right-hander. The car just snapping away from him. Alex mentioned only a few moments ago about the tread blocks on the tyres just getting absolutely saturated and overwhelmed by the amount of water on the track. And for me, that looked exactly like that. He was hardly moving. The car just snapped away, cornering what we would call quite conservative. Now we're showing a red flag. Red flag is being put out on the start-finish straight, and that is probably down to conditions on the track.
And a reminder that one of the first things that the 29 Lant Audi is going to have to do when it makes its stop is sit in the penalty box for 32 seconds, because there's been a penalty hanging over car 29, second on the road, remember, after it was fined for disregarding flag signals, so spotted by the officials. Now it looks like it's going to be a single file restart, so apologies, the way the grid's been issued, it shows me 2 by 2, but no hint of those positions being occupied by the race leaders. Nose to tail then for the Phoenix Audi car number 1, the 29 Land Audi, and the car collection number 3 car. We are racing again at the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. It's the 48th edition of this fabulous race, live here on RS1, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels. 7 hours and 11 minutes remain on the clock. And what has Alexander Sims, or indeed Dennis Olsen, got planned for the first corner? The BMW is not going to go for an overtake, but around the outside, the 42 of Sheldon van der Linde rather, trying to get places in the big BMW M6, fighting with Dennis Olsen, and Maro Engel not very far away either in the Auto Arena Mercedes. That's his second car of the race, having started in the number 4, now out. So down the hill they go, a real steep descent on this Grand Prix circuit towards the Dunlop hairpin, and having a little look at the inside, Jelmer Berman on the 31 of Maxime Martin. But Martin's got the place on the Dutchman after the first few corners of the Grand Prix track. Still Audis 1, 2 and 3 in the order that they started, but Alexander Sims is starting to nibble away at the rear bumper of Christopher Haase in that best placed BMW for Rover Racing.
Or whether you think you're going to do something slightly different. And the groups that start Grupper 2, sorry, that's 4 different languages there, but it's starting Group 2, Johnny.
Yes, and this is also a single file restart, just as start Group 1 was, and that looks to be the Honda Civic from the TCR category that leads them away down towards the first corner. But one of the Black Falcon Team Identica Caymans is going to snatch the lead. KTM Crossbow from Teichmann Racing squeezing in the second place, which will put the Honda Civic TCR down to third. Briefly, the Velosta's in the fight as well, and there's a spin for one of the BMW 240i Racing Cup cars. I think that's one of the top 3. That the 240 gold and white car, which was running second and has already lost a little bit of ground. Now, certainly in 240i, we had 2 cars, I think, on the lead lap. So that may well have affected positions within that division as well. A clear lap ahead.
Yeah, so they certainly did lose several positions in the queue, but no positions in the race.
And as I said, second in the division, the class that's led by 239.
Nudged round. It must have been a miscue on the screen, but yeah, we've just seen in the replay of the car going round. It was a 240, brilliant spot, Johnny, absolutely. Actually, didn't go round, he went wide.
Well, that's the second incident.
Oh, he's done twice.
Yeah, he spun the first corner and now off in the gravel later on in the Grand Prix lap. So
we got very quickly. Great to review that at some time in the future. But it looked like he was turning around.
So Maxi Boot getting a good run on Dirk Werner, and Werner with no answer to Boot. Max might be going for the lead here. He's got a really good run on Frank Stippler, going for the outside line initially into the Yokohama Air, sort of swooping across the nose to take the race lead. Away from Frank Stippler is René Rast, although Stippler doesn't like that too much. Remember, yes, they're all Audi Sport team cars, but it's Phoenix Racing up against Land Motorsport. Careful not to make any contact here, boys. We have had a lead change, and René Rast now out front, because there are yellow flags being shown, and that is at Brunchen with already a code 120 in place. The 100 car looks to have had a drama, which is the BMW from Valkenhorst Motorsport, I think I'm right in saying. So car 100, isn't that the one that had the front end completely destroyed?
Obviously the rule was just the first lap, but we'll be nice to each other. And after that we're going to scrap like heck. It's a bit up, and it is. It's a BMW.
It's the same car.
At the same place.
Just after Brunchen, actually. Nowhere near as much damage to the nose this time, but it's tagged the rear left corner up against the Armco, limiting track speed to 60 kilometers per hour. And there's a 120 going into that as well, as Maro Engel thinks about a move up the inside of Alexander Sims, and Sims tries to hold him back at Arenberg, can't do it, looking for the switchback now. It was what young man Paul Di Resta was doing behind, which was a slight concern, but he did eventually get past your teammate Will Owen.
Flash button was worn out at the end of his stint.
So I heard, yes. Now the 100 BMW for Valkenhorst Motorsport is being wheeled into the right direction on René Rast, so we'll see whether Haase is carrying a bit more speed. A huge chunk of tyre pickup, I think, thrown into the air there, and they're well over to the right hand side. Now Haase makes his move from right to left and glued to the white line on the left side as well. You could probably get 3 cars between them, so distant they are, but Haase does get the better of the runs. It gives him the inside line at Antonius Bucher, and there is another lead change. We barely had a lap completed.
With race control here, the marshal posts are in connection with each other by phone. And so obviously language barrier, big fight then in the middle of the pack.
But it's left him on the third lap now since the restart, and he's been hunted by the KCMG Porsche, who thinks about a move up the inside through that. Oh, but so the 42 of Sheldon Van der Linde goes off the road, as does Sims. So that's Olsen back in one place. He wasn't quite close enough to get the two Beamers in one move.
Through the kink on the Grand Prix loop here, bit of traffic involved as well. And let's see if Olsen then can get the move done on the BMW down into the chicane. Yes, he can. Lovely move. Brave move from Olsen. P9 class in relation to the length of the stint previous. The shorter the stint previous is, the shorter your pit stop will be. So if you run a 5-lap stint, you can run a shorter pit stop by a considerable margin and potentially come out of the pits earlier. Of course, the sacrifice of that is you lose a little bit of fuel mileage.
Alexander Imperatori, but Engel, I think, still in the pits.
And there's
a wheel in the sitting right in the middle of the track. So that's a Michelin tyre. Doesn't really narrow it down as to what car it's come from.
Central wheel nut, so it's a GT3 car.
All right, about to get our answer, perhaps. And it was neither of the four cars. It's come from the pit lane, hasn't it? 3 of Frank Stippler, number 1 of Frank Stippler rather, and onto the Hatzenbach as the BMW from Valkenhorst very nearly doesn't make that same corner, and that's Juncker-Dea's opportunity in the Mercedes. Good grip being found clearly by Christopher Haase. The same can't be said though for one of the GT-tired Golfs, which has skated off onto the grass and now stalled. So the 89 looking to try and restart. Yeah. There's a Mark 7 and a Mark 6 in the entry, I think, and this is the Mark 7. Oh, it's turned around by the number 5 Audi, which is being driven by Louis Schramm still. No, it's Jules Gounon who's just taken that car over, and there was definite contact with the Audi. The last few seasons, the World Touring Car Championship as it was previously, and now WTCR. So Coronel with plenty of laps to his name in the number 36 car. The curve, staying away from the apex generally to seek out that grip. And Dennis Olsen would be picked off later on in a Grand Prix lap by Sheldon Van der Linde. That's been a really good fight to watch, because sometimes the Porsche's had the advantage, then the BMW has grown into its stint and got ahead again. And the mistake from the number 1 car, because it went to the wrong side of a back marker. That meant that it tagged the grass, albeit briefly, but the forward momentum completely lost by Frank Stippler, and he just had to sit there and watch.
Out of the race in this one.
Christopher Mies a second ago, overtaken at the very fast chicane on the Grand Prix track by the BMW, which will be Sims. The 99 car rather than the 98.
6 seconds quicker for Alex Sims. And we saw the Rover Racing car just struggling, didn't we, off the restart. You wonder if the dry conditions are going to be more to their liking. Great big slide there for Christopher Mies in the 29 Audi.
By Sheldon, as Alex makes a point. Meanwhile, race leader off the road at Arenberg.
He just got slightly blocked there by GT4's Tomczyk, but the Bortolotti Audi remains about 4 seconds ahead as Tomczyk is stuck behind a GT4 Aston that's trying to get past a BMW as they come into the sharp right corner.
Up at Sheldon Mackerel Swallowtail, as you said, and that car now is being towed back to the pits. It's being kept to the right of Dottinghoe all the way down. But of course, they've got to get it through Tiergarten as well. They probably won't get it through Tiergarten actually, because of that problem of that concertina effect. All the cars arriving there, going on to the number 1 Audi. Those wet, dry wets, whatever you want to call them. Whatever you do, don't call them inters. Now we know
there is no such thing.
No such thing. Yeah.
In Michelin world, oof. And the Rover BMW, is that a change of position? Is that a change of position in BMW?
Adopted by myself, but I know what you mean. Do a lot of the WEC races. Oh, there were contact between the Ford Mustang and the Garage 59 Aston Martin, or was that the other Aston in the entry? I beg your pardon, it was the other car, the 71, I believe. 2 Aston Martin GT4 spec cars in the field. That's a massive bevel in the door for the Ford.
Again, around Nürburgring, it's about the longevity, isn't it? It's making it work for the full hour of the stint. Because particularly with that tyre, it's...
if you like. So if you're on the wrong tyre, you really are on the wrong tyre, and that BMW is on 3 of them.
Yeah, that
I want to come in now, Dad.
the 36 car, which is still got a wheel just about attached to the front right corner, which is the class leader. Now, there are only 2 cars in that division. Nicky Scheller, what happened when the tyre went bang? He was being overtaken by, he got a contact. He got contact with, was that a Mercedes or a Porsche? Couldn't tell whether that was one of maybe the KCMG Porsches.
2 dive planes on the front, so it could well have been the Mercedes there, but we haven't seen big damage on a Mercedes, have we?
No. Is at Callenhard. Now, going to get an answer to finally which car was affected. It is a KCMG Porsche. I thought I saw the blue and the white, and there was contact with Nicky Scheller, but they're also at the end of 8 lap stint, so they would have been hard pushed to get much further on fuel anyway, and it has fitted nicely. The 42, yes, straight into the box, so another 32-second penalty.
Got top lad, Michele Beretta. This will be his first 24 in GT3, newly found Lamborghini Works driver.
Question 2, how long does it take to get a set of slicks up to temperature?
Well, naturally, the longer the circuit, the more time you lose for any sensitivity parameter, be it fuel, be it tyres.
Side, it has done damage to the Porsche. I feared that. Door mirror trailing, and it's dislodged the front right fender quite possibly. Tyre looks all right though. Still got the Michelin branding on it, so it didn't reach the rubber. On to lap 8 of his stint, I make it. So at the end of lap 67, we'll see the Swiss come in and Bortolotti take back up the lead. Or will it be the case? Because now, there's a spin right in front of the 2 cars that were due to be the leaders. And I was about to say that the 99 car of Nick Yellerly was nibbling at the tail of the Audi. He was right with him. And there was a spin for the 65 Porsche Cup car.
Huber
and
Motorsport.
That's the Huber car. It's forced a massive wedge now between Bortolotti and Nick Yellerly.
I was just about to say, Bortolotti, for some reason on that last lap, lost a chunk of time from Mirko. Did a 25, and that's a big impact.
For your Astra, by the looks of things, and a 304 Porsche Cup car as well. So 2 Opel Astras in the race. The K Kramer Racing Porsche Cayman is the other one, driven by Kramer himself, and that was running 5th in Cup 3. But front damage for both cars. So car 304. There was their contact between the Astra and, yes, they've tangled up amongst themselves. The Astra driver didn't know that the Cayman was slipping to the right-hand side there, and Henning Kramer in the K Kramer Racing car thought there was a gap. It then rapidly disappeared, and contact was made on the exit of Brunchen.
Radiator fluid all over the road there as well from the front of the Porsche. Of that Audi, they're going to have to sit at 60 kilometers an hour while that number 5 car is recovered from the way down to Callenhard.
And in this sense, it has helped, or it is helping, the number 1 Phoenix Audi. But, as you say, that assumes that when the other Audi, the number 3 car collection car, and Yellerly with the Rover BMW, when they both come in for their pit stops, that the track is fully green in order to give the advantage for our race of endurance. But with 10 hours spent red flag, there's still a lot of action out on the circuit, which is keeping me entertained at least.
Yeah, well, Mathieu Jaminet a moment or 2 ago giving Philippe Eng the real hurry up heading through Yokohama Rest. That was a big old shove that the Austrian got from Jaminet behind in the Fricadelli Porsche, Alex.
Out of the speed limiter, both of them very polite in waiting for the green flag to go. Oh, Fabian Schiller, great big moment. He's going to hit the wall. Yeah, 9 in the wall again. That's the same corner as well that Raffaele Marciello gave so much punishment. That's hats and back, isn't it? He's skated across the grass where there is more and more of a dirt track emerging. Thankfully, there are tyres there, but Schiller's hit them big time, and all that repaired front left corner is now looking very second-hand for a second time in this 24 hours. All right. Dropped it off the curb through the first part of Hatzenbach, and let's see how that front left corner is performing for him. Well, the wheel not overly wobbling, so hopefully he hasn't broken any of the suspension there. These are absolutely on the limit with regards to fuel stop. You would be expecting then an extra stop out of Jaminet at some point.
By the way, Fabian Schiller would ordinarily be one of the front runners, but they've had so many difficulties overnight with Raffaele Marciello. That rear wheel is no longer rotating, which I'm slightly worried about because it's going to burn through the tyre so quickly and then start to eat away at the wheel. This car is down in 18th position.
It's right on the cusp. Yes, I think it's going to be able to do it.
A big drama for Jörg Bergmeister now. The rear left tyre on his 18 KCMG Porsche looks to have let go. He's come in the pits after doing a tremendous job and stopped short of the team. So the poor old crew are having to run down or up the pit lane and push the car back into life.
Endurance cars are now, and we've got Schiller still trying to make it back in the 9 car. It's going to park that by the side of the road.
That'll be fine, but there are those that are not quite at a point to be able to make a stop yet.
Oh, Glickenhaus is off.
It is into the gravel at the bottom of the hill of the Grand Prix circuit, so runs out of road into the Dunlop chicane, or the Dunlop hairpin rather.
None of it's been unexciting to say the very least, but just you pointed out there, Johnny, in your rundown there, that Christopher Haas has popped in the fastest lap of the race at 8 minute 20.802 somewhere. I don't think it was one of the GT cars. Let's have a quick GT3 car. No, now one of the KCMG Porsches running extremely wide through the gravel and rejoining across the grass. That's the number 18 car. It's running a little bit down the order. That's Bernhard in the KCMG Porsche down in 15th overall, one of the SP9 cars, classic cars. He's been off there, but it is indeed Audi Sport Team at the top. BMW, as Johnny's just said, Nicky Katzberg in 3rd place. Koenig, the Fricadelli Racing Team Porsche 911 in 4th, and then a couple more BMWs, Rover Racing and Team Schnitzer. Wittmann and Farfus in those cars. Fastest lap of the race so far, just said a few minutes ago, 8:18.9. And that was Nicky Katzberg in the number 99, my apologies, Rover Racing BMW M6. So we just have another gyrator there. That's the number 305 Cup 3 Porsche Cayman 981 GT4. This is a crossover car. That's the number 305 car.
With the 305, the Porsche Cayman, and a spin for a Mercedes just coming out of
Schaffner, John Schaffner in the number 10 car.
So I was about to say, Snowy, Johnny was spot on when he mentioned now
same place as the 305 Cayman.
Yes.
So that indicates there's possibly something on the track there. 2 cars off, there's accident, and I think almost we're going to see the Glickenhaus have a similar problem at the same part of the circuit.
No, that's an Audi.
It is an Audi. My apologies for saying the number 3 Audi. That is a replay. That's the number 3 Audi. That's the 2nd place. So that's Christopher Haas there, and some earlier footage here of the cars off at the Tiergarten. Virtually no chance of rain. That down to 15%. Well, it's a little bit different now. We are looking at, it's only 9 degrees, Joe, but that 15% precipitation has increased to 85%.
Oh, right. So the drama is certainly not over into the final 2 hours of this truncated 24-hour race, and Augusta Farfus there running out of grip just keeps it off the barrier on the left, and then within 3 laps it's become a nightmare of weather conditions. Change for the lead then as the 99 has gone through.
I really should have listened to the careers advisor at school.
Yes, more incident out on the circuit.
That's the Mustang again, having a big moment and getting that biofueled power down there in the Mustang.
For a bit of front-wheel drive action from the GT Golf as well, showing that front-wheel drive in these conditions is sometimes an advantage. Let's call that on the second. It's 0.946 to be exact. So that's a battle that's beginning to develop for 4th place. We'll keep an eye on that as the number 71 has a pretty harmless spin. That's the Pro Sport car. Yeah, I think it's disappeared, Snowy. That was a quick one.
Yeah, it has just cleared. You're quite right. Green flag track clear.
Christopher Haas almost having it coming together out on the Grand Prix Strecker there.
He's driving a Jaguar as well.
He's not unfamiliar with historic racing. Dries van Toor in the number 1 Audi, currently 3rd, having to go off track to get past a couple of back markers there. And we basically cut a tread pattern into the tyre to create a tread.
We're going on to the Nordhoff of the Hatzback, number 3, Haase. That's a replay of that one from a short while ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure he made contact with the Toyota,
No,
the
didn't.
Racing. Not quite. He was very, very close.
You and me both, mate. So damage on the left rear. We've got a puncture on the left rear of the number 1 Dries van Toort run Audi.
Third spot.
38 minutes to go and the left rear tyre's completely gone off. We've got a rim exposed there, bodywork coming off that car, now lifting the front right up in protest. That's allowed the Augustus Farfus BMW straight past him there, down through Plantsgarden. He's now approaching Schwalbenschwanz, so it's still got a way to go, and actually he's running off the track at the moment. I think he's got a problem. I think he might have to park this car. Or is he just just absolutely nothing at the rear there? Oh, this is the replay of it. Sorry, my apologies.
He has gone. They're a little bit out of sync with regards to pit stops, and it was how they reacted to the change of weather that have put them out of sync with one another with regards to pit stops. So we'll just keep an eye on the pit stop times as the Rover Racing BMW comes through now and takes over the lead of this race. With 17 minutes remaining on the clock, we've had a change of lead as Nicky Katzberg overtakes the Audi. Nicky Katzberg will come into view of his crew very shortly. The final part of the Tiergarten. Here he comes into view, and he will see the checkered flag as the checkered flag flies for the 2020 Nürburgring 24 hours. The winners, Rover Racing, Nicky Katzberg, to the accolade of the team on the pit wall. Congratulations to Alexander Sims, Nicky Katzberg, Nick Yellerly and Philip Eng, and of course all of the Rover team. What a finish. The gap at the line is on about 20 seconds, just waiting for that timing screen to update. Sector 7 was where he took the 5 seconds and gained, so great finish. BMW win the N24. First time in a decade, first time with the GT3 SP9 regulations, and that's
first time in 10 years.
Yeah. 21st win for BMW as a mark.
Dropped away, and I think it was you who picked them up as being the dark horse, stealthily making their way back into the top positions.
With Christodoulou, Engel, Stolz and Manuel Metzger, and thundering into the night-time hours, the evening, the little bit of darkness that we were able to run. Metzger was in a great position, really treacherous towards the end of the lap, coming out of the Kleine Carousel. He seemed to be clear of any other cars around him, and the car just snapped to the right and into the barrier, and it wasn't able to be retrieved. And then you thought, all right, well, the number 9 car now is going to push on because its driver lineup is equally as good. The two Maxis, Gertz and Buch,